PTSD that Ishmael is experiencing, what do you think it's going to take for him to overcome it?
I think when he finally gets into his normal life again, like his normal routine, I think it's going to take a lot. Like he's going to need mental health, and it's going to be hard to find that when he's out in the forest. So, yeah.
Yeah, when he was by himself in the beginning of chapter 8 on page 49, it said, I walked for 2 days straight without sleeping. I stopped only by streams to drink water. I felt as if somebody was after me. That could go with PTSD and being no, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on.
Questions I have is, do you think Ishmael is happier with his old group of friends or his new group?
I don't think he's happier with his new group of friends because his brother was in the other group, so I think it's very hard to leave him behind.
I think I disagree with you, KK, because like in his new group he's more playful and just like more himself. And on page 68 at the end of chapter 9, it says that they laughed about what happened. So like they're just more like happy with each other.
I'm a little indecisive on the topic because I do agree that he was maybe happier with the group with his brother because he was with his brother and like people he was closer with. But he didn't talk as much, so he was a little more like saddened, I feel like. And in his new group, he tends to be having like a little more fun with them, even though he might miss his brother. Well, I'm sure he does. But so I'm not exactly sure.
I would agree with Rachel on that because like he's like learning new things with a new group of friends that he didn't know as much with his like brother and his old friends. Like they would stick to survival and their goals go to a safe place. And then same with their new group, their goals would be in a new safe place, but like they tend to like mess around or like do something as well.
To go off of what Megan said, I feel like his very first group with his brother and his old friends, they were new to like the fact that they're now refugees and that they're on the run, going from village to village. So they're very new with that fact. So therefore, when they were like running away, they wanted to take survival seriously. While in the other group, they're more well-rounded.
How has Ishmael evolved physically and emotionally?
I think that emotionally he definitely developed some PTSD and like while experiencing traumatizing experiences.
Yeah, I think he also developed PTSD because of his loneliness, and I think it contributes because it's like one of the most painful things in his journey.
I can add on to both of those. He's like very anxious as well, so like it shows that he's like, scared and like it goes off to his PTSD like where like he's going to the loneliness and like back and forth.
Like the loneliness almost helps further develop it, but he already had like anxiety to begin with because of being traumatized from the war.
To build on of what Megan and Victoria said, like it shows like his anxiety was getting really bad because whenever he'd like sleep or like he was unable to like really like fall asleep and be comfortable because he was like scared of his own shadows and like always thought about someone was out to get him and like he was always like fearful.
And on page 27, it explains how there are limbs, hands that have been chopped off by a machete on the ground next to like piled body parts, and I think that's really not a good thing to experience.
Yeah, it's really extreme.
Also health-wise, he's like very hungry and he's going around like different villages begging for food and stealing food. So I think that definitely taking a toll on him.
Yeah, to go on what KK said, I think like he also developed like survival tactics because of his hunger. So like he had to steal from other people, like the little boy on the farm, and they had to like learn how to cook by themselves too.
Yeah, and to like explain like their physical appearance, it was like our lips became parched and our joints began to ache. I began to feel my ribs when I touched my sides, and that just shows how hungry they are, and that's on page 30.
Okay, so in chapter 8 on page 49, the top sentence says, I felt as if somebody was after me. Often my shadow would scare me and cause me to run for miles. He was exposed to such a traumatic time that this could possibly lead to like long-term effects.
I agree with you, Eileen, because it's leading to signs of paranoia. Because on the bottom of that page, he said that I closed my eyes hard to avoid thinking, but the eye of my mind refused to be closed. It continued to plague me with images. My body twitched with fear, and I became dizzy. So it's starting to have a physical effect on me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Carly, what do you think about him suffering with PTSD?
So I actually found a quote for that on page 46. It said, I became frustrated with living in fear. I felt as if I was always waiting for death to come to me. And I feel like living a life the way he is, where he's always on the verge of death, I feel like that could definitely be traumatic and it could cause some PTSD where
Okay, so my helpful Socratic Seminar demonstrators, can each one of you give a piece of advice for how to be successful in a Socratic Seminar? We'll start over here.
I would say to use like deeper thinking questions, like not just yes or no questions.
Okay, do you guys agree?
Yes.
Yes, because if we're just using yes or no questions, that's really hard to build a conversation. If everyone's like, yes, and then that's it, right? Okay, so we definitely want like different kinds of questions. Good. What you got for me, lady?
wait, who?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say make sure that you include other people while you're talking.
Awesome. So what's like a really easy way to include someone else? Do you want to demonstrate with your sis?
Yeah. Eileen, do you have anything to add?
Perfect. So something little like that, but we can give you points for being thoughtful and including others, and then that helps a classmate out too because they get to have their 2 cents. It's awesome. Okay, what you got for me, Eileen?
I think body language and eye contact is key because like when you're looking and like talking to a person and using like hand motions and gestures are really like key.
Right, so that's like a nonverbal cue to show me that you're listening. This is a speaking and listening activity, so if you're showing me that you're listening by the way that you're making eye contact and nodding and contributing with those nonverbal cues, that still shows that you're listening. Fantastic. What you got for me?
I think preparation work is vital in like succeeding in the Socratic Seminar because you need to know the information beforehand and so that you have it right with you while you're speaking.
Yes, you guys can literally do all of the prep at home and you have stuff with you that you can just read off a paper and so that way you feel more prepared. Is prep work a pretty big part of your grade?
Yes.
Yes, it's easy points just to do your prep work. Okay, Miss Mackenzie, what you got?
Textual evidence when you're speaking inside the circle, always make sure you pull quotes from the book. It will give you a way higher grade.
Yes, if you can use direct quotes, it's going to drastically improve your grade. Good job.
Pay attention and be observant on the discussion.
What about when you're in the outer circle? Can you just take a nap?
Take notes and focus on what's going on.
Because you're going to be in the inner circle eventually, right?
Yeah.
And can you pull stuff from like the previous conversation to use in your circle?
Yes.
Sure, of course. Good. What you got?
Be confident in what you ask because there are no bad questions.
Yeah, there are no bad questions. Kind of going off that, are you guys allowed to disagree with one another?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, is there like a respectful way to do that?
Yes.
Sure, but it's actually encouraged, right? We want to hear your perspective, and if you're able to disagree and even support that with evidence, that's a really important skill as well. Good. What you got, Rachel?
Make sure you make thoughtful contributions that others can build off of.
Yeah, so we want to avoid things where it's like, I agree, I disagree, and that's it, because that's not really like a deep conversation. We want to hear your thoughts, especially if you can support that with evidence or even do a full warrant. That's the kind of stuff we're looking for. Did I miss anything?
Using names.
Using names, perfect. That shows that you are caring about one another and that you're listening. That's great. Anything else?
Again, disagreeing with others because it's like really important to do that because you have to speak your mind.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we definitely want to be disagreeing. That's an important skill as long as you're disagreeing respectfully. Okay, thank you, team. I appreciate it.